Hi guys, Space Tiger here, and welcome to something. This is like a full pajama party. I just woke up, and I think this is like a really, um, how to say, like a really big step for me. And I wanted to pair this today. I wanted to pair this um, like this period of a week that we've been like the sun has been traveling. So the sun is our conscious, right? It's like a moment that lights up a certain like part in our consciousness. It's like depending on where it kind of like lands in your natal chart. For instance, for me, that's like my 10th house, so it's um it's like my public life, like the highest point of my life, right? So you start to think about these things, and I don't know, for some people it's their fifth house that's in Taurus, so they start to think about their creative work, what they create, what they bring to this world. um they start to think maybe about having kids. It's like ultimate creation of the flesh. This would be great for my friend Petra, because yesterday we were talking about how like she put like a lot of stuff in her chat GPT prompts, and then she asked for chat GPT to kind of like create maybe some keywords that are a little bit different. So for me that was really great. And in any case, like, this will be a little ramble, and we're gonna use some tarot cards. I have some tarot cards here, and you go and fit yourself a coffee. And this is gonna be like I would say, like, let's say like a podcast type of like moment. Um, yeah, podcast type of moment. Um, what else? I don't know. A ramble, I guess. Whatever. It doesn't have to have like a head and a tail, right? It's just like, imagine that we're friends and you're sitting in my living room and we're having coffee and I'm reading tarot and I'm in my pajamas together with you. It's Sunday, so I'm gonna make this like this Mercury rambles on Sunday. And again, I'm here fully no makeup, no filters, no nothing. In my pajamas, I'm human just like you. I really had like a break this week around like this physical, because like, I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm 38-year-old woman, and yeah, it's kind of like at one point, like your body constantly changes. So anyway, I wanted to say, like, push a pause, go get a coffee. We're sitting here, we're talking girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to say, like, I had this like, in and out with my body, how it looks. I'm a big chested woman, I have legs, I have hands, like I have things, and they're not in a certain shape that society wants it to be. Oh my god. So I started to kind of like worry, which by the way is a keyword of it's a keyword of Five of Pentacles. So let's see what we have here. I took Gustav Klimt's tarot because I love it. So let me try to find Five of Pentacles. In any case, like, there was this um like this worry around the physical. And again, with Five of Pentacles, that's the Lord of Material worry. I have my laptop here, don't worry, we're gonna make everything. Also, yeah, I have my laptop here because I want to. Yeah, okay, my window decided that it wants to shut down. Just a second. Okay, we're back with more light. Anyway, so where were we? Where were we? Okay, I took a liberty to also go in and fetch like the traditional Rider Waite's deck. But anyway, yeah, back to the story. So again, this card is also called the Lord of Material Trouble. So again, thinking about like material. What is the material? Um, what is like physical? What is the body? And so this is a card that kind of represents this first decan that we're in. So again, thinking about the sun like crossing through this decan, and all these like squares that we have from Mars. Mars is the planet of action, right? Pluto is the planet of like death and rebirth cycles. Like he hides, he hides things, and then he unravels the things. So for me, some things were hidden, some things were unraveled. I don't know about you, how you felt in this first week, but again, why I'm making all of this, like yesterday I put like a question in my story: where in your life do you suffer the most, and where in your life do you feel the most joy? Because this decan is also graced by the three graces. So here we have like like these Austin Coppock calls them like the cheerleaders of gods. So he's like, wherever there's a party, there's a celebration, especially if there's like a Venusian celebration. They're there to like prepare you for the celebration. So they prepare the gods for celebration. They adorn them, they cheer for them, they're glorifying them. So it's like, this like beautiful energy where it's almost like somebody's cheering you on, like you can do it, like where do you find joy and things like that. So anyway, we were talking a lot these days about like suffering, and I asked you people, and there was like a lot of comments on some of them went into the story, but there were like a lot of comments, like the most of the comments I got, that's why I didn't repeat them, was relationships. So where do people suffer the most in the relationship? For me, it was really interesting. Like, okay, like from all the things that are happening now in the world, like you suffer the most in relationship, and we're talking about love relationship. So most of the people commented on love relationship, not like not on a family relationship or a work relationship or thing like that. It was like funny, people are most suffering in the relationship, and where do they find the most joy? They find it like in freedom. And that was really like mind blowing, like freedom, creativity, um spending time with their friends or doing some activities that they like. So this, like, it's very like all of the things that were kind of mentioned had like a little bit of a tone of like, I like to do things alone. And okay, and I was like, okay, that's very interesting, like let's observe this, what's going on. And then today I wanted to ask Terrell, where do we as a humanity, and it's like a really like big thing to ask the Terrell, like where do we as a humanity suffer the most, truly, like from the bottom of our heart, truly, and where should we experience the most joy? So we're gonna see what the Tarot has to say. I'm really excited about this. Anyway, coming back. Okay, so yesterday my dear friend Anna, I talked to her about this, and she was like, okay, she's a very modern girl, and very smart, very intelligent, and she was like, okay, like let's go ask ChatGPT. Like, okay, go ask ChatGPT. Anyway, and she sent me like what ChatGPT told her. It was like that. I'm gonna read this to you. So people struggle with happiness for a bunch of reasons. And also one thing that really came to this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be all over the place, get used to it. Um, I also like uh, I started to go and learn a little bit about, let me read it to you. What's the name? So trauma informed yoga strategies and insights from the Yoga Sutras. I love Yoga Sutras, but I never thought about this, like like approaching maybe some trauma and suffering through the Yoga Sutras and like rewiring the brain. And this is with Sean Faith Oaks in Yoga International, and on their site. And I'm like, this guy's like talking like super slow, um, very consciously about things, which um, I don't have experience with people. So he's like so slowly talking about things that I will need to listen to this guy again, because he has some amazing points, but my brain be braining, and I'm like very like fast, like wired into thinking. So for me, information needs to be like like this in my head. So but anyway, this course talks about developing like the trauma awareness, restoring the nervous system, and like customizing your practice, your yoga practice. And when we say yoga practice, I don't mean just like folding yourself into certain shapes, although I really do enjoy them and I'm trying to get back. But anyway, so this came in, and then to go back to chat GPT answer, so there are like a lot of tools to like rethink the suffering and everything. Anyway, so Anna says Anna asked the chat GPT. Anna says chat GPT says that um people struggle with happiness for a bunch of reasons, but one big one is that our brains aren't actually wired to be happy all the time. For me, that was very interesting, because we don't even know what the f happiness is, right? Like, what is joy? And I think there's like a really big difference between happiness and joy and content, although many of us are wired to think that it's the same. But I don't think I think like happiness is like a momentarily thing. Like you see something and you're like, oh my god, that's like happiness. It's just like this momentary like ray of sunshine, like this like blink in your brain, and that's it. Joy also very celebratory. So when I think about these things, I'm thinking like, hey, these are very like very momentarily things that we feel, that we kind of latch on and we want them to last. But then instead of like cultivating like this happiness and this joy, we're cultivating like suffering. The suffering lingers. So for me, that's like it's amazing. Like, how come it happens that we experience happiness, and okay, it's almost like samadhi. It's like samadhi. You just wake up for a moment and you experience this like I don't know, like if any of you ever like it's the enlightenment basically. And people think like, oh, I'm enlightened. No, you're not. Like, nobody's enlightened. You get, maybe you get enlightened at certain points, like maybe you do wake up at certain point, but it's not a lasting state. None of these are lasting states, not even suffering. But for some reason, suffering and all these like dense energies that we like feel, we like to cultivate them longer than, let's say, we cultivate happiness and joy, right, and celebration. So anyway, he says that our brains aren't actually wired to be happy all the time. They're wired for survival. Okay, makes sense. We're all animals deep down. And that means that we're constantly scanning for threats, problems, or things to fix, even when we're safe. It's called the negativity bias, and it makes us more sensitive to pain and less tuned into joy, says ChatGPT, from scanning all of the sites around. Anyway, as for why it seems like some people almost enjoy emotional pain, there's a fewer layers to that. Oof, now he gets like super serious. Familiarity. For some, pain is familiar. If someone grew up in a chaotic or emotionally painful environment, they may associate that state with normal. Calm or happiness might feel foreign or even unsafe. That's true. Again, if you went through any type of trauma, you're like kind of wired to, and even like people, again, coming back to the relationships, yeah, people like they're not they're not present. We're not present. I'm not present, like, because my brain was like scanning for a lot of like shit through this like couple of months, and like trying to kind of like think about how to survive in my body, with my body. Very weird. And again, I didn't even touch it on my therapy sessions, because like we had to start from the basics. But like parallel with that, I was like thinking like, okay, like for some reason I got this like thought that my body is not welcomed, and because my body is not welcomed, it means that I will be ostracized and like kind of pushed out again. And it was a very interesting thought that at first was like an overwhelming feeling, and then through like the days I got more into a sense of like, oh, this is like this is more than just this thought. This is like a survival thing. Like I want to survive, you know. I want to be fed, I want to be seen, I want to be loved, I want to survive. And for that I want to have like a housing. So for that I need all these people to love me, but the only way that they will love me is if they like how I look, right? Because you need to be like attractive in some way. You need to be, and again, we're going back to this like earthly things. Like it's like, you know, as a flower, you need to be attracted to be pollinated, right? And we're into our season, so we're talking about fertility. What fertility means? What means like to seed or plant things, you know, so that they can grow. So where are you investing in yourself? Where are you um, like how are you making yourself be more appeal so that you could be fertilized in any way or shape or form, regardless of gender or whatever. Like all of us need like a certain investment, and here we get to this like the lord of material trouble, you know, like do do I need something, can I offer something, what's going on. So for me it's really like complex to look at this through like some archetypes, you know. So anyway, going back to this guy, here we have like validation through suffering. Yeah, I know I know some people feel like their pain gives them meaning, identity, or justification. if i suffer if I suffer, then I matter. um or they feel like they need to hurt to prove something, like they're strong and that their feelings are valid. Yeah, that will be me. The sin of pride, the Leo sin of pride. Anyway, like this current yeah, this current transits are really like hitting that button. Just a second, I need to blow my nose. Allergies. Okay, we're back. Anyway, then we have like attention and connection. Attention and connection. Pain can be a way to support or connect, especially if someone doesn't know how to ask for what they need in a healthy way. So again, here we have like somebody who is, you know, connecting through a pain, through not having enough. Even this little lady here, she's almost like she's begging, you know, just like this like skinny little body, you know, like begging for something. Then we have like mental health, like suffering because of your mental health, which is like something, okay, some things that you cannot like control, like, okay, I don't care, like, you know, and then it's gone, your suffering is gone. So it's like depression, trauma, anxiety. They can literally rewire the brain. For people struggling with those, feeling okay or happy can feel fleeting and unreachable. If they might even sabotage those feeling unconsciously. Yeah, I feel that's like, you know, that's kind of correct, because like it's almost like being happy becomes like a daily task, which it shouldn't be. Like again, happiness should be something that's like momentarily um, like experienced, you know. And then cultural messaging, like in some cultures or subcultures, suffering is romanticized. Think about the tortured artists or the tragic hero trope. Pain, oh, air. Pain becomes almost notable. Sorry. Okie dokie. So yeah, again, this is a very raw coffee moment with me, where I'm trying to just like, you know, like peel off the layers of like conditioning myself into thinking that I should be appealing to you so that I can do my tarot stuff. I don't care. It's very liberating. You will see me in my pajamas, drinking my coffee, rambling. This is just a train of my thoughts. You can listen to it or not. Anyway, so let's go ask our friend the tarot. Much wiser than we are. Okay, so for the trauma part, I'm gonna take the Nicoletta Ceccholi tarot. It's really like, it's really amazing tarot. Very like goes super deep into her psyche, doesn't care, calls you out. Amazing. So we're gonna see we're gonna see what card we get. So why are we truly suffering? So what's the point of suffering? Why, and why is it like, no, I'm not gonna ask that question. Like, yeah, let's just stick to where do we suffer truly as a collective? What's like the root cause of that? So let's see what we're gonna get. Okay, so we got the Knight of Cups. Let me just search for that one in the traditional. Okay, this is very, I find this very amusing. Again, it's like always like the thought is like searching for the better. Always searching for the better, searching for the best. There he is. It's like this, searching for pleasure. That's why we suffer. Okay, so this is the traditional guy, and this is like, this is the Nicoletta Ciccio. I'm going to show it to you. So again, why I love this, tarot, it's like, it's so raw and so wrong and so, I don't know, it awakes something in you, like some shame or something, I don't know, like, but anyway, here we have like a figure that's like a very feminine figure. It looks also very young, and she is riding this horse with such like fierce, you know, like this aggression. She has this whip. It's almost like she, it's almost like she's like, you know, somewhere, I don't know if you're gonna see it, wait, let's, I don't know if you see her face, but anyway, her face is like really like very focused on whatever is going in this, you know, like pelvic area, where she has this like, she has this like beast that she's riding. But anyway, so the point of riding a horse, or the point of like, you know, here we have like this like playing room, the point of like playing, or with this guy, like looking at this golden cup, like going on an adventure. So like the point of both of these cards is like search for pleasure, which I think is very interesting, because in this day and age, that's what we are doing. We're like always searching for our little like happy chemicals in our brain, you know, scrolling endlessly. We're searching for something. We're searching for something that will fill our cup. We're searching for something that will fill our, you know, like our second chakra, which is the cup. It's the place of water. It's the place of emotion. So we're trying to find like some fulfillment. We're trying to search for pleasure. That's definitely, I as a person now, what tarot is like showing up, we are definitely searching for pleasure, and that's why we are suffering, because you cannot find pleasure everywhere at any time. Some of the time, pleasure and experiencing pleasure will come from you. Where do you experience joy? You know, like, and sometimes it can be like the most stupidest thing, as like, you know, having like a morning with a cup of coffee, and you feel like content, and you feel joyous, or you feel happy, or you have like an experience, like, I don't know, today I went with my dog out. It's like super sunny today, and I just got out, and my body was like a little plant. It was like sun, and for a moment I felt such fucking happiness. I wish I could like, you know, like get this moment and just like, you know, make it last forever. But it's impossible, because like in the next moment, my dog wanted to go to the other way. He saw another dog, blah blah blah. Some kid screamed, you know, like somebody fell off a bike, and like the calmness, the peace, the joy, the happiness just vanished, and we're back in the present moment. So sometimes, you know, like it can be like this. We'll use the word sutra, you know, like this is like, you know, a line, like think of like a like string, yeah, string of pearls. So instead of like, and there's like this also word which means pleasure, which is kama. So we have Kama Sutra. A lot of you people heard about that, but I don't mean this like in the sense of like Kama Sutra, but maybe like creating little sutras, you know, like of joy, like little beads of like joy through the day. So then you have like a whole line. So like maybe, I don't know, for some sutra also is like this line when you write it down. So we're thinking like about writing down certain like things like where we experience joy, but like not giving it like this like eat, pray, and love like modern society, like oh this that I don't care, like this I don't like really this like glorifying of like, oh, I wrote this in my journal therefore I'm enlightened. No, you're not. You just need like a posted fucking reminder to rewire your brain, um you know, and not be like always focused on suffering, you know. So this is not like to glorify or something, just really like fucking reminders that you can read, and then you use like tactile part of your like, you know, like psyche brain, you know, like to write down and be like, okay, oh, because then it becomes real when you write it down. It becomes real when you look at it, when you say it, like, okay, today I made a video and it brought me a lot of joy, so one bead on my like string of pearls, right? So anyway, yeah, so the tarot tells us that we suffer the most because we're so focused on finding this ultimate pleasure and dying in it. Like it's like, oh, you know, like craziness, because this energy is like fire of water, and when you combine fire and water, like something will kind of like change its shape. So if you're like starting to heat up the water, it will become like, you know, it will go in the air, it will become like this like a little cloudy, you know, it has to kind of like die and perish in a way. It becomes like this what's the English word, I don't remember now. Evaporates. Vapor, it evaporates. So yeah, it kind of dies basically, you know, without any philosophy. Okay, so let's see how we can approach this. Let's see what tarot has to tell us, how we can approach this to maybe help us. So we're gonna use this Yasin Uselev. I hope I'm not butchering the guy's name. We're gonna use this to see like where, how we can approach this like suffering, maybe turn it into more like a joyous moment. So let's see, because again, tarot is much smarter than we are. Where we can find joy, truly, true joy. We got the Tower card. There we go. Oh my God, tarot, beautiful, so wise. It's like, this is so funny because this is like the cliche that you see on t-shirts. Like the only thing that's constant is change. I'm gonna find this card here. There we go. Okay. Very Martian lesson. So we have Tower. Okay. So yeah, building up, you know, and building up this thing, and kind of like, I don't know, building this joy, building the happiness, building the suffering, and you know what, you have a limit, and at one point it will break. So like where you can find joy, this is so like, okay guys, we have a confirmation of every fucking philosopher and guru and like, you know, these modern gurus and everyone, yeah, but like at the end of the day, even the tarot tells us like that, you know, everything has a limit, where how much it can grow, even the pleasure, even the orgasms, you know, like everything has like a line where it kind of bursts. So even your suffering is like unavoidable, even your joy is unavoidable. It just needs to like let everything like finish. Cycles. So yeah, guys, I will leave it with this to think about. You know, like letting things just like go, pass, die, change. Mm, yeah, we can make like a mental maps of like certain like good things that happen, but yeah, but in the end, like everything will just like kind of like explode, change. You know, you build something and then it's over, and then you suffer because it didn't last. But it cannot last. It will never last. So you just need to like every reset look at as like an opportunity to try and do something different, or to make it better, or to experience a new joy. You know, like this is like very, even though it's like connected with Mars, you know, this like thunder is very Uranian. It's like these new thoughts, new evolution. So every moment that you lose something, and that every moment that it passes, even though it's very enjoyable, every dream that you had, like last night I had like a really, you know, beautiful dream where I felt so loved, and you know, I was like in this like, you know, ocean of emotion, and there was this like entity that really loved me unconditionally, and then I had to wake up and it passed. So in that moment I felt like really big sadness because I couldn't like prolong this dream. You cannot prolong the pleasure. You can, and even with pleasure you cannot prolong the suffering, because sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, Tarot said, all the times, even the suffering ends, joy ends, calmness ends, chaos ends, everything ends. And that brings us to death and restructure. And that's what Pluto is teaching us, as a force that represents like dying and finishing. And even to go back at the beginning of our story, where's my Five of Pentacles? Even this card, though grim and talking about troubles, like right there behind the corner there is an entrance, there is a church. They will enter, they will have a meal, warmth, security, protection. So this scene will also pass. This scene will also pass. And this guy might never find nothing like this ultimate joy and pleasure, but it doesn't like kill the fact that he had a lot of like amazing adventures. So again, whatever you're going through, it will pass. You just need to let it swell, you know? You need to let it swell up. You need to let it like do what it has to do, and just let it like burst like a bubble. Let it explode. So if you have joy, feel the joy. If you suffer, okay, go to the deepest lows of your suffering. And then, because at one point, from like when you hit like the bottom, like the only way is up, really. If you're like prolonging that, you're like, oh, I don't want to go because it's scary, you know, the darkness is looking at me, you know, you're peering into the void is looking back, you know, type of thing. You know, be brave. That's the only thing that we have, like, to be brave and go like super deep into it, like impale yourself into your darkness. It's very Mars Pluto thing to say. But yeah, impale yourself to your darkness, into your suffering, like suffer. You know, even look at just, I don't care like if it's like toxic. Go and look at yourself in the mirror and say like, okay, today I'm ugly as fuck, and that's it. Where can we go from that? Nowhere. You know, you can turn around and try to make things like a little bit better, I guess. That's what happened to me. I looked at myself, I was like, fuck this shit. I put on some clothes, I went yesterday to an amazing concert. I had a great time. I got home. I slept well. I woke up. I'm doing this with you guys, sharing some stuff, and that's it. I could have sat at home and suffered, but I didn't. You know, I just let it explode. And then you come to a place of peace. You know, you let this explode. You let the joy explode. You let the suffering explode. And then there's like this really nice neutral place of peace. And then life happens again. It goes up, it goes down, it goes somewhere, it does something. And that's it. So yeah, people, I'm gonna go now and continue with my 3D activities of like cleaning and making food and be in a neutral state, and then life will happen again. Thank you so much for having coffee with me. Maybe this will help you, maybe not. It's just a rant, and yeah, enjoy your weekend. Today we're gonna record something new for the next week because we're entering the next decan, and I'm really looking forward to see what is the face of this decan and what are the lessons that we can like consciously learn thanks to the sun transiting through these stories, through these energies, through these archetypes, reminding us over and over again, are like little reminders, so maybe one day we can evolve. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, all the information is in the description box down below.